Good. How are you doing?
Good, real
How
good.
are those defensive tackles doing?
They're practicing hard. We got a good group, and a little bit more depth, than we've had around here in a couple years. A couple of wily veterans in there with Alonzo and Julian Obioha. So it's always nice when you have a couple older guys that can lead the way and set the tempo on a daily basis. But we're fairly deep. We've got probably 8 healthy bodies for the most part. Some guys are banged up right now, but when we're full strength, we've got about 8 guys that I think can go in and help us play. So that's the fun part as a coach, is we've got some competition in there, and 2 guys in theory shouldn't have to play 60, 70, 80 plays. So be able to roll some guys, keep them fresh, and that's the plan. But things are going good so far.
Could you tell us more about Julian's progress and that whole transition and trying to get bigger and playing inside?
Well, everybody knows his story here. Here's a guy that's really smart, has really bought in. He's a program guy. He's very smart all around. I mean, he's just a smart individual. And I think as he's watched his career evolve, he's grown. He's got bigger and stronger. But he's not one of those cheetah cats that's on the edge and just a pure pass rusher. And that's kind of what Coach Chavis's scheme calls for is edge pressure. So I think Julian's skill set, I think he realized early on in spring practice that he's built a little bit more as a technician, a bigger, more physical guy, and I think it just seemed like a better fit for him to move inside. So late in the spring we asked him, hey, let's come inside and see how you do, and it's just been a better fit for him.
How's it working out?
It's working out real well. He's put on, I don't know what he weighed coming out of spring, but he was about 280, 282 when we started camp, and last time I checked 24 hours ago, he was still at that same weight. So he's doing a good job replenishing his fluids and keeping his body weight up there. And again, he's a technician. He's a physical guy. You guys have all watched him play for the past 3 years. He's a physical guy, so he's put on some muscle, put on a little bit of weight, and the thing that he gives us inside is explosiveness and athleticism. So maybe he wasn't a great athlete per se on the edge. Now you come inside against some of those bigger guards and center types, and now he's a better athlete than those guys that he's going against. So it's been a good move so far.
But you're confident he has the physical ability?
I think so. Again,
those big guys?
I hope he doesn't have to go out and play 60, 70, 80 snaps. I think we've got people around him that can go in and spell him. And that's the one thing that Coach Chavis said early on when he first addressed the defense. I'd like to play at least 4, preferably 5 or 6 defensive tackles. That keeps more guys involved. It keeps more guys kind of, chomping at the bit, feeling like, hey, there's a chance for me to play on Saturday. And at the end of the day, it keeps guys fresh. So you're playing better in the fourth quarter because you got more bigger, fresher bodies out there. So far, so good.
I'll let somebody else ask.
How's Dalen getting acclimated and accustomed to the new system here?
Dalen, obviously a very, very talented individual. I think it's been a work in progress so far. I think for all of our freshmen, they come into this type of setting and just the speed, the pace of an SEC practice, and then you take it another step, just looking at our practices in general, how fast we go. So he's had flashes of really great play, and then he's had some times where he's catching his breath and wondering, am I going to make it to the next period? So he's had his ups and downs, but he's certainly a very, very talented young man, and we just got to keep getting him into game shape. Each day we're going to give him a little bit more, and he's rolling in there. We're very, we're moving a lot of pieces around with our guys. You'll see Julian out there with Alonzo Williams. That's been our number 1 group for the most part, but I've got to spell those guys too. So I'll roll, a Deshaun Washington or a Zay Coven or even the 2 young kids. I'll roll Dalen and Kingsley Kiki up there with the ones, just to keep moving those parts around and getting guys to work with other individuals on our front. So like I said, so far so good. The guys are working hard, and we're seeing a lot of guys step up and show good flashes of play out there.
Mark, how pleased have you been with Alonzo Williams just taking on a vocal leadership role, it seems, from what we can tell, and also just what he's done with his body, physically speaking?
Alonzo, again, I think when guys get to their senior year, they sit back and they're like, wow, I can't believe it's already here. But here's a guy that, again, came in as a defensive end. He's growing into an SEC-sized defensive tackle. He played a lot of football. He's played a lot of football. He has a lot of pride in his game. for Alonzo right now, you know, he's learning how to play in an attack scheme, you know, and I think when guys like Alonzo and Hardrick get a little winded, they go back to their read and react, and so we're trying to get him out of that mode. But he's a very, very prideful football player. You know, he keeps getting better every year, and I know he's dead set on having his best season this year. But it's nice for me as a coach for him to take a Dalen Mack, to take a Kingsley Kiki aside, both he and Julian, and coach those guys on the side, because that's helping, you know, Terry and I with those young players. I know the ends are doing the same thing with James out on the perimeter. So
it seemed like a pretty rare move when Coach Chavis kept the entire defensive staff intact. How appreciative were you of that, and also that confidence that he showed in y'all as well in doing that?
Well, I mean, obviously, I mean, you know, it's great to still be here and be a part of a great university and a great program, and you know, I don't know what those conversations were like, but again, you know, it was great to be here through the signing date and to keep rolling with things. So I think that speaks for itself. You know, being a part of Coach Chavis' staff here, a lot of fun. Obviously, his reputation speaks for itself, and he's been great with us from day one. You know, and he includes us in the thoughts for the day, how we structure practice, game plan thoughts, and you know, I know myself and the rest of the assistants, we've been like sponges just trying to learn from him. But again, a lot of fun to be with Chief on a daily basis. It's been a blessing.
Was there a certain way he let you know he was going to retain? Maybe
you know, there were conversations that took place. You know, when he came on board, again, I think, you know, anything's possible. You know, you got to get through recruiting, and that was, you know, the mode, the operation that we were in at that point in time as a defensive staff. And again, you know, I'm sure he had some conversations with Coach Sumlin, and you know, we continued to talk and move forward. And again, I don't remember specifically how it came about, but you know, they let us all know that we'd be moving together forward as one, you know, at the end of the recruiting cycle, and it's been full speed ahead ever since.
How have you enjoyed being back in the defensive tackle coach?
It's been fun. It's been very smooth. You know, I've coached up front, I don't know, 14 or 15 years, and so it was seamless. You know, I think looking at big picture wise, I know Coach Chavis, not to speak for him, but you know, he wanted to be invested. You know, he didn't want to be a guy that walked around. He wanted to be invested. The thing I like as an assistant is I think you're less likely as a coordinator to write more calls on the board if you've got to get things taught yourself. So, you know, it was, like I say, it was a seamless transition. I think looking at the SEC, it's a lineman's conference, you know, so the thought process, I think, hey, let's get 2 sets of eyes up front instead of 1. We'll get a little bit more detailed coaching. And if that can help us win football games, let's go for it.
All right, Coach, thank you.